I've done a couple things to her to make her stand out. Like, you're about to see.
Did you steal the wife's car?
Yeah, we gotta get it down on the ground.
We're going to be the first ones to have a Pro-Charge 2021 Escalade.
Most people want to keep it as quiet as they can. Not Bill. Authorized sound of Escalade.
So this is a 46 Ford Coupe.
Recover the seat, little dash pad, be good. When I say everything, this is everything. I want to drop it all the way on the ground. The air suspension on it, late model 5.0 in this thing. It's a total surprise for Ryan's dad.
Oh, surprise.
She looks really pretty.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
My old friend Ryan called me. He said he got a new project for us to do it. His family owns a company that builds and sells records. In fact, his dad started the business back in the 70s. Ryan, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming out, Bill.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Got this project for you here.
These the ones you're talking about?
We're going to start with this one here.
What year is this thing?
So this is a 46 Ford Coupe, and my dad bought it back in 86 when he turned 40. Tore it apart about 15 years ago, and here we sit. Same spot.
Oh, man. You know, I've heard this story a million times. A shop takes in the car, tears it apart, there it sits for years, and they never finish it.
I need somebody to put it back together.
Yeah?
Something special.
How old's your dad now?
74.
Does he know about this?
Knows nothing about this project. He does so much for everybody else in the community.
Yeah,
Gives his shirt off his back. Doesn't do anything for himself, so it's time to give back.
Man, that's awesome.
So-
I'm in on it. You know, I've never had one of these in the shop. It's going to be a first for us, but man, I've always admired these. You know, just looking at this car, it's going to be a cool car, but to have somebody, you know, think of you the way Ryan's thinking of his dad, that's a cool gift.
Looking for something that he can drive to the show, not only just a trailer queen, that he can get down on the highway and do 80, cold AC.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. We'll make it something he can burn the tire. Lot of trophies.
That sounds good. This car used to be called Blue Thunder when he got it. You know how they used to nickname their cars.
Oh, yeah?
So we need to do something with that.
So it's got to be blue.
Yes, sir. Got to be blue. We're looking for a dark metallic blue that pops blue when the sun hits it. Looks a little darker at night.
This is a cool, iconic body style, but this thing's got to sit right. So we're going to start out by building air suspension on this thing to get it really, really low to the ground with the right wheels and tires and get that stance perfect. Man, what you got under the hood of this? Is there air?
Let me just show you.
Oh, man, we can't have nothing in here like this, man.
Got an old 350 Chevy in it, so that's wrong right off the bat.
I mean, that's definitely going to come out and just start fresh with the new 5.0 in this thing. Man, when he pushes on the gas pedal, man, he's going to be happy.
That's what we need. You know, I can't wait for my father to have that smile on his face that he has for everybody else, but this time for himself.
Let's see what the interior looks like in there. Should I say lack thereof? Oh, yeah. Recover the seat, little dash pad, be good. No, man, there's nothing in here we can use.
You know, Bill, I know you got the outside all figured out and stuff. Then inside, take it to the next level.
Just taking it to the next level would be very hard on this interior. I want your old man to get this thing back, open the door, and sit down in here and just feel like he's 40 again. Because he might have a heart attack on this one.
But this will stop him taking those little blue pills, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, you won't need them no more after this, right?
We snuck you in while he's out at the races. Let me get it over to your place, and then we'll go from there. Sounds
Get
great.
back rolling. I love that Ryan's giving something back to his dad. You know, not just anything, a custom 46 Ford. It's just that little extra that's going to make this cool old car even more badass. You know, most people see a car like this and go, man, look at that cool old car. But for me, when I see an old car like this, all I can think about is how many hours it's going to take to make this thing cool. You know, there's a lot of differences in customizing a new car versus an old car. A new car, you don't have to worry about lining up body panels. You don't have to worry about, you know, the hood latching correctly. I mean, you put wheels and tires, do your thing on it. slam the door, go about your business. So, you know, an old car, just the opposite. You have to address every single part on a car. There's going to be hours just getting the hinges lined up. There's going to be hours getting the window regulators working properly. There's going to be hours of just getting the window felt in. I mean, nobody ever sees you do this thing. There's only one thing to do. Quit talking about it and get to it.
Whoa! Has this thing always been back here?
You don't get out of the office much, do you?
No.
It's a total surprise for Ryan's dad.
It's a hell of a surprise.
Right? You know, I want to get this thing in the shop and blow it totally apart. We got to make this thing really low. I want to do air suspension on it. I want to put 20s on the front, 22s on the back, maybe a 22s on the front. I'll just kind of see how it looks. Once it's up on the lift, we'll see if there's anything underneath we can salvage.
Find out what's underneath all this.
Yeah, I'm really nervous, man. This thing, you can tell the body work's been done a long time ago, and there's a lot of it on here, so it's going to take a lot of work.
This thing's already got Blue Thunder on the back. Are you staying with Blue on this?
It'd be sacrilegious to change that, right? You know, we got to bring old Blue Thunder into the 21st century. You know, this engine definitely ain't gonna cut it. It's got a Chevy engine now. Don't want that. We're on a late model 5.0, 6-speed transmission, new wiring harness, pedal, column, radiator hoses. When I say everything, this is everything.
So for the interior, looks pretty complete. It's got an awesome seat in there.
I'm gonna take this out.
You win.
But everything other than that, you know, there's nothing there. So new bucket seats, bench seat in the back, of course, stereo equipment. Get with John, see what kind of equipment we need. Let's get it ordered, get the carpet, get the headliner, get the window felt, window regulators, you know, one-piece side glass.
We're building the whole car, everything ground up, 100%.
Man, that's exactly what we're gonna do. You know, this thing is gonna require everybody in the shop. There's nothing on here that we're not gonna handle.
There's a whole process after process on this. Let's call it Blue Process.
Well, let's get to the first process, getting this thing in, get to it.
Got it. Let's do it.
This car's been sitting around rusting for who knows how long. So we'll start by getting up on the lift just to see how long our to-do list is. Ooh, look at that. Had intentions of just doing suspension on this, but you know, after looking at this frame, it's got to go. Our transmission is going to be a lot bigger. It's a big 6-speed transmission, so it's way bigger. So we'd have to cut all this out to make room. The easiest thing to do is just get rid of this old frame and just go over to the just unbolt the body, get it off the blast, and we'll get the body shop guys busy for a while. Man, Timmy, we thought we were just going to be able to salvage this.
That's like demoing a whole house to build a new one, but leaving the cracked slab. Want a good foundation to start with. If not, it's just going to be problems down the road. Body separated from the chassis. We're going to roll the chassis out, fasten the body to a body cart. We'll send this off to get media blasted, and we'll see how it looks when it comes back from media blast.
You know, I can really appreciate a surprise like Ryan's going to do for his dad with this coupe. I surprised my wife Jennifer by customizing her cars a few times. I might have gone a little bit too big for her taste, but she's got a new truck, and I'm ready to try one more time.
Did you steal the wife's car?
Yeah. You know, I want to surprise her. You know, I want to do a couple things to it. You know, she calls it Betty, so I want to get Betty hooked up.
So is this going to be a little surprise, or one of your SEMA take her car, we're taking a SEMA 2-week surprise?
And then I was like, oh, I'll just take it to the shop and fix a little dent on the back. And 2 weeks later, it was in Vegas at the SEMA show, totally repainted, full interior stereo. She wasn't too happy. Couldn't haul groceries in the back anymore, but I think we got to get it down on the ground.
I knew that. I knew for you to say it. I knew exactly what you were going to say.
I mean, look at that fender wheel gap there. Man, that's way too big, right? We'll drop it down probably about 6 inches. You know, just a little bit, about 6 inches. fill that up with a nice big wheel and tire. And, we just can't have a 22, 24. We got to have a big wheel and tire, right?
Something to separate it from the rest, but still make it drivable. They didn't even have a kit to lower this?
Man, that's what we do. So we got an empty rack. We'll just pull it in, pull the wheels off, see what happens. I mean, we might even get it on there and just decide just to put air suspension on it and get it down really, really low.
That's the bill, I know. I don't know of a better way to say I love you and thank you than dropping her new Escalade to the ground, put some big wheels on it, and making her stand out.
That's an extensive way, right?
Yeah.
Good-looking stance with the right wheel and tire, it just gives it that attitude, that aggressive classiness. Set her apart from, all the other soccer moms, and feel special the whole time she's driving. It won't be another one like it. She works hard every day, pretty much takes care of the kids because we always work late, getting home late. We're gonna get her hooked up.
It definitely takes a lot to put up with what we do. It's a good call.
Yeah, she's been needing a little surprise lately.
She married you, she has to like surprises.
So what are we doing to Mom's truck?
We're gonna lift it really high. Just big 44s on it. Make it real easy for her to get in and out of.
Oh yeah,
she'll love it. No, I want to give her something that's cool, right? Back since the beginning of Extensive, I've always kind of experimented with my wife Jennifer's cars.
So is this gonna be like Mom's last car, or last surprise?
No. I don't know what we're gonna do yet. See how difficult this is. This is all new platform underneath. I heard it's independent rear suspension now, so we're about to find out. With her 2021 Escalade, I want it to be custom and cool. But, maybe just a little more understated than I have in the past. Me and Jennifer have been together since before the beginning of Extensive Metal Works, so she's been around the car game just as long as I have. As soon as Jennifer gets this back, she sees all the time and effort we put into it, how cool it looks. That's definitely going to put a smile on her face. On the 2021 Escalade, it's been totally redesigned. This is 100% brand new, top to bottom, and it's unfamiliar territory for us. It's crazy how much cars have come in the last 5 years, 10 years, but that's part of it. This is definitely a learning experience, and you grow with the technology in a car, advancing with it every year. We want to stay up with the latest and greatest and be ahead of the curve.
What'd you figure out?
Just lowering springs, we got to change that out. We'll put new coils on it so it just drops it down, gets rid of that big fender well gap, with a nice wheel and tire. It's going to fill all that up and to keep it all black too. Yeah, that's going to set the whole aggressive tone to it, right? Speaking of tone, muffler, you got to change that tone too. It's a 6.2 in this, and you can't really tell it any different from a Tahoe that's got a 5.3 in it. So those restrictors and opens it up a little bit. You got to make it look good, got to make it sound good, and you got to make it run good. We need the Pro Charger.
Y'all are definitely two peas in a pod. Both of y'all want to go fast.
There's nothing available for this. It's so new, so Justin will have to build whatever it needs. And these little steps can't have the pontoon look, right? We got to get rid of those. Put the retractable steps on so it looks nice, clean, streamlined, lower the ground.
Man, I'm not going to lie. When you first told me you're going to surprise her, I was a little nervous myself because I've been in a couple of these surprises and they go off the charts sometimes.
Most of the time I would really go for the full air suspension, lay it on the ground. But, I want to make something that's perfect for her. So I have Tim and Dave changing out the springs.
First thing we're going to do the Escalade is get the stance right. We're going to take the struts out, put new springs on this thing, and we put it back together. It's going to lower the vehicle but still give you the same ride. So this basically holds the truck up in the air, and the shock dampens it. So when you hit a bump, it doesn't keep bouncing. By getting a new coil spring that's a little bit lower, it's going to lower this down to say right about here somewhere. It should be about 1.5 to 2 inches lower.
What we're going to be doing is if you don't have this specialty tool, you should probably not try and do this at all. It's pretty dangerous. to be messing with something that's compressed and has a lot of pressure in it. We'll be able to loosen this nut up here and remove the shock. So the only thing we're going to be changing out is the spring to lower the ride height. We will reuse this and the boot. Only thing aftermarket should be just the spring.
Lowering springs for you, sir. You should bring it down a little bit, tighten up that wheel gap, make it sit right.
Now we gotta work on it.
Yeah, you do.
Later, boys. Later, boys. Want to make it a little more sporty, bring it down just a little bit, but not enough that every time she goes over something, she's got to hit a bump or she's got to worry about rubbing it off. Now we have all the springs mounted. We're going to bolt them on the truck. One step closer. And it's in bad a shape as we thought. Before the body shop guys get their hands full with the body, the owner wants us to get it all the way on the ground with a full custom air suspension. It's part of the surprise for his dad. It's exciting to get a new project in, a new frame started, and just to build somebody's dreams. Everything to starts with the frame. Let's see what we got here. 32. It's on the money. It brings you back to being a little kid and building that first little model. I mean, that's basically what we do every day. Get to bring back our childhood memories of building all that cool stuff, but now we get to do it for real. We've got our measurements here, here, and that'll do it. So I got all the measurements I need. I'm going to transfer them right on a drawing that we have on the table. I can see actually in real time how the frame's going to look. So there's no mistakes on mismeasuring. We're going to go right off our templates, transfer them right to the saw, start chopping, start putting together. Got it, man. That's all laid out.
You know what the thing looks like? 46 Ford frame. Rule of thumb here is cut everything in twos, two sides of the frame. So we're gonna make two cuts same time, so they're exactly the same. I guess the difference between building a custom frame and an OEM frame would be you could put things in different places for clearance issues, and definitely cool factors. You can make things different because of the tools. Now I got all the pieces cut and beveled. Now it's time to go ahead and start assembling this frame.
They're looking good, nice, square, level. This thing is going to be right. So now we're off to mocking up the suspension. On the 46 Ford, we're going to build a two-link suspension with air. I prefer a two-link suspension on a vehicle like this, just because on this, we're shooting for about 11 inches of lift, so you get a lot of lift out of it with a really nice ride quality. And the other advantage of the two-link is with it bolted super tight with the U-bolts, it doesn't allow it to sway like a four-link suspension and have to compensate with sway bars. That's why we're going with a two-link on this versus a four-link or other types of suspension.
Just trying to make sure the front of the two links are even and equal, the same height. So I'm putting my flat bar right here, basically as a leg. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp it, and I'll be able to manipulate this height-wise. I need 9 7/8 on this side, so I'll be able to touch this up to 9 7/8 on this side. It's a lot of measuring, a lot of looking across everything, make sure everything's parallel, everything's even. But taking all this time to do all that, I'll pay off in the end because everything will be perfect. Everything's going to be straight and true. That's exactly what we're looking for.
As
As big as a frame build is, the interior in the coupe is non-existent. So John's starting from less than zero. Yes, this car has absolutely no interior in it. I think when it came in, it had a folding chair maybe in it. That's actually kind of the fun of this. It is, with it being a blank canvas, there's nothing there that dictates what it has gone. So we get to pick where everything's at and place things where we want it and do our own design in it. I've got a template for my kick panel, a template for the door panel, and for the rear quarter panel. Everything's marked off where they line up together in the car so that everything has the same height that I need, so I can sketch this out to get all my patterns laid out so that everything will fit. Bill's thought and his idea is he wants Dad to get in his car and sit down and feel like he's still in his old hot rod. He doesn't want anything too new and too outlandish in this. He wants nice, clean, subtle lines in this. We want to get this thing just a nice, clean, classy feel, so when he sits in it, he can feel like he's back in the old days. It's kind of one of those great things working around here. A lot of times we're just given free will to do whatever we want, so to be able to sit down and think it out and dream up something just different than everybody else's is really what makes this job so much fun. All the way from the beginning aspect, all the way to the headaches that you have, all the way to the end of it until it's finished. Every bit of it makes it fun because you get to design everything from your own ideas and your own perspectives. Erase, delete. Good thing about these sketches, it's all fluid, so it's constantly changing, so you're never stuck to one thing if you got an eraser. And that's going to be a tall ridge here. So this is our insert fabric that we're going to use just for our accent color. That's going to be going here in our doors and also here. Plus we'll have it worked into the seats, so it's just that little extra pop just so it's not all the same fabric in the whole car. So now it's time to bring Blue Thunder back to life. We got the stance on my wife's 21 Escalade just right. Now I want to give it a better overall tone.
Bill wants to get rid of this stock muffler. It works from the factory. Most people want to keep it as quiet as they can. Not Bill. It doesn't have the rumble he's looking for. The wrecker. You know, this new muffler flows a lot better than the factory does. It gives a little throatier sound. Jennifer's going to love it. What school teacher wouldn't love pulling up your parking lot with a hot rod sound and Escalade? So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go ahead and tack this first one. That way I can make sure it's square with the frame this way. And then I'll know, not only do I need this to go over, I also need it to come down. So it's got to be like a 45 down and 45 over to one direction. Basically what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out a little jig so I know how to bend it. So I don't have to make 52 trips to the truck and back. I can just make me a little deal here. So I measure from this line down is 2 inches. So if I take 2 inches out of this right here, it should give me exactly what I need. According to the jig, this should flow exactly where I need it. Give me an exact angle this way and this way. When it fits good, now I do is weld it up. Bill's wife's got a brand new sports car sounding Escalade.
My wife's a little like me. She likes to give her vehicles a little extra horsepower. So I asked Justin to add a Pro Charger. Because this truck is so new, he's going to have to figure out the whole setup.
It's pretty neat that we're going to be the first ones to have a Pro Charge 2021 Escalade. Like, nobody's worked on one of these. Like, they don't make a kit out for it yet, so we're going to come up with we should see anywhere between 150 to 200 extra rear wheel horsepower on this thing once we get it tuned. We're going to try to squeeze the intercooler through here without removing the grill. So this one here is their what you would call like a stage 2 intercooler. So if you look at the thickness of the core, it's about a ½ inch wider than the one that would come in your base model kit. This one here is gonna provide a lot better cooling for the extra air we're about to shove in this motor. We're we're running into clearance issues, these air louvers right here. So since it's such a large intercooler and such a tight space, to be on the safe side, instead of trying to force it in there, we're going to go ahead and remove the bumper and remove the support so that we can just drop it right into place. With this being a 2021, it's the first time pulling one of these bumpers off, so it can be a little time consuming. You know, you don't want to get in a hurry. You want to make sure that, you know, you get all the hardware out. You know, it's easy to, you know, miss a bolt here and there. And the last thing you want to do is piss off Bill's wife. So we need to make sure that we take our time and do it right the first time. There we go.
Just to fit the brackets on the supercharger. It's taking a bit more work, but it'll all be worth it in the end.
So that's what happens when you're dealing with a new vehicle. Something, you know, seems as simple as taking a bumper off can eat up most of your time. So this here is our supercharger. It's the P1X, their high output version. So now that we have the blower installed, all we gotta do is connect from our blower to our intercooler, from our intercooler to our throttle body. So the reason we use the rubber couplers instead of everything hardline is because you have vibrations of the motor, and whenever it torques over, it'll want to move. So you need to have movement. So that's why we're going with all these rubber couplers. So right now we're putting the belt on. We're trying to adjust the tensioner to make sure that we have the most amount of tension, but also where the tensioner is within range, because you don't want it maxed out where it's too tight, where the tensioner is not doing its job, and at the same time you don't want it too loose. So we're just fine tuning it right now to make sure we have it set right. The next step is to get our fan shroud back in. Once our fan shroud goes back in, then we get to start doing some of the custom piping and getting this thing wrapped up.
We have the rear suspension on the coupe all mocked up. Now we can make the custom bag mounts.
Let's block it back up. Even something just as simple as a gusset for the upper bag mount. I mean, somebody just looking at it just looks like a piece of pipe, but you got to take into consideration where the shock's going to be, where the differential's going to be, where the air fitting's going to be. You want to make sure it's right. You want to take your time to notch it right, cope it right, sand it right, and attach it right.
Done daily. On this particular chassis, we're going to use a diagonal link, which mounts a fixed point of the frame over to the moving part of the suspension itself, and it keeps everything 100% true all the way up, all the way down. There's no deflection of that whatsoever. We're able to build that into this suspension because there's nothing in the way. A lot of the times there'll be a gas tank in the way or exhaust in the way, or a lot of things could be in the way once you're building a suspension around something that's already there. The advantage of this is it's going to stay nice, true, straight up and down, and perfect. Back in 46, these coupes didn't have much of a speaker system, so John's going to bring the audio into this century, but he's also going to keep it with his classic look.
It didn't have subwoofers in 46, so what we're going to do is actually take and disguise that subwoofer. So basically when you pop the trunk and look in, all you'll see sitting there is a suitcase and think it's a piece of luggage. You'll never even know that it's a subwoofer. For the corners of the suitcase, I want them to be rounded, so in order to do that, I'm going to take the PVC and cut it into quarters. That way I can use those as the corners of the box and then just glass them from the inside. It's kind of like making oatmeal. Put a little water in your bowl, a little bit of oatmeal in there, stir it up. You don't want your oatmeal too lumpy. Martha Stewart, eat your heart out. All we're doing with this is just reinforcing our PVC corners. So the first step we're going to take to make this thing look like a suitcase, we're going to use a scoop bit. We're going to run around the outside edge of the top, a little bit on the bottom, nice rounded over corner. We can do the body work. Take this fiberglass filler here, hit my outside corners, get them smoothed in. Got to give these corners a little bit of love, get it good round and smooth. Next thing we'll do, cut some lines in this, put some grooves in it. Don't mess it up. Really got to take our time to make sure we don't screw this up. And it could turn into a whole remake, and ain't nobody got time for that. I have confidence in myself. Oh God, I moved it. We'll also have to add a groove to the top edge and the bottom edge for all the material to roll into. So we're just going to take and work our way around the box, rolling it and flipping it to get our groove in it. All right, now that we've got all the grooves cut in it, this thing's really starting to look like a suitcase. So the next thing I gotta do, just sit down, do a little bit of detail sanding on it. This thing will be ready to wrap.
Custom frame and suspension for the 46 Ford on the table. Now it's time to get it up underneath the body. Winter's coming along. I mean, it's really starting to take shape. We got all the old yuckiness out. So from the firewall back, 100% true square straight. But I found the easiest way to build chassis like this is locating the front cross member. Once that's located, you know, the height you want, that locates our wheelbase.
141 and 3/4 or 16 too far.
Hammer's right there.
That's it.
So we have this dead center of the fender wells. Now that we have our front end on, we know where that center is. Next step is just connecting the cross member all the way down the frame. This car is going to run unbelievable, ride really good, and really low. It's at the perfect stage to really start creating. You know, normally we know exactly what we need to install the Pro Charger, but with the 21 Escalade being so new, Justin has to reinvent the entire wheel on this one.
So with the supercharger, we're gonna have pressure inside the pipe, and the last thing we want to do is we're putting a bead roll on the end of the pipe so that the silicone coupler, whenever we clamp it, doesn't want to slide off under boost. This is the flange for the blow-off valve. Typically, it would tie back into the inlet pipe to the supercharger. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna vent it to the atmosphere so we got that cool swishing sound. Now we got our 3.5-inch aluminum prep. We got our hole drill for our mass airflow sensor flange. The mass air and the O2 sensors work together, so if we dump off any air to the atmosphere, throw off our O2 sensors and the computer won't read right. So now that we have our blow-off valve flange on, our mass air flange on, and our extension piece that goes into our coupler, now we can go install it on the vehicle. Go ahead and pre-install our new blow-off valve. They actually sound better on supercharged cars. Because on a turbo car, they only open up just under like acceleration. On a supercharged car, it's the opposite. It's open all the time until you give it gas, and then it'll close. And that's how you kind of hear more of that swishing sound. So now that we got the flange welded on, we got the 2 screws to hold in our sensor into our piping, just like we wanted. We can install our charge pipe and put some clamps on. And Life's definitely gonna have the fastest SUV in the faculty parking lot now.
The best days at work are always with a dog. If I do set up a table for me, and this guy happens to use it for a bed, I'll put my stuff on the floor. You should just lay there and do nothing. I gotta go work. Look at this 2021 Escalade in the shop. It's already a good looking truck. It was good looking off the factory floor. But Bill being Bill, it always needs something. These steps just aren't gonna cut it. So he wants a retractable step. When you open the door, it folds down. When you shut the door, this will tuck back up, fold away, and you'll never see the step at all. It's gonna make it look sleek, and it gives it a custom touch. First step we're gonna do, just unbolt the old step, take it completely off, get it out of the way, and then we'll start with the new one. This motor here will go to a door pin. When the door door opens, it lets us know this needs to come down. When the door shuts, it retracts this back up. See how hands-on my helper is? That's a good helper right there. The new plastics have a little indentation right here, so when this folds up, it tucks right in tight and it makes it disappear. Now we have the plastics on there that allow the step to go up and it'll fold right with the new plastic. It looks better, it functions better, and it's easier for little ones or old ones to get in and out.
You know, I'd be lying if I wasn't a little nervous to see what Jennifer thinks. But I think this time, we nailed it. You know, her Escalade's still classy, but custom, just the way she likes it. You know, well, I hope. As you know, I got a long history of customizing cars, and something you might not know, I have a long history of customizing my wife's cars too. The thing I got her was a Cadillac SRX. Took it to the Las Vegas SEMA show and killed it. The bad part about it was getting it home. It had so many speakers, there was no place to put the groceries, so she hated it. Every time I cut into one of my wife's cars, I'll always have the best intentions. I always want riding around in. You know, that's the feeling I get when I drive around in a cool car. I want her to have that same feeling. You know, my wife driving a totally bone stock car, it hurts. It hurts seeing that. It's kind of like, you know, if I was a roofer, my roof was leaking, that's something you just can't have. You know, I've been known to maybe go a little overboard here and there, but you know, one of these days I'm gonna come up with that perfect combination for her that you're just gonna totally love. Thank you for lunch.
No problem.
Thank you. Hey, I want to tell you something. Remember, you know, I took the Cadillac in, had a recall, and I took it from you? It didn't really have a recall. I want to surprise you with something special. So I took Betty and I've done a couple things to her to make her stand out.
Like?
Well, you're about to see. You ready? You excited?
No.
Timmy's gonna bring it around right now.
This is not the first time that Bill's taken one of my cars. We've had some cars where he has taken them and he's done things to them and they have not turned out well. That's a little stressful for me. Okay, so not so bad. I'm very proud. I appreciate you listening. It looks awesome.
Surprise!
Yeah, no. Beautiful.
Are you pleasantly surprised?
I'm pleasantly surprised. Thank you. Pleasantly surprised. She looks beautiful.
So I did good?
So far. I don't know. There might be more. I don't know. From what I can see right here, yes.
There's a little more.
She rides the same.
Better. You know, the first thing you notice when coming down the road, you know, Betty just looked way too tall. So what we had to do is get it in the shop and we changed out the springs. You know, took it all apart, took the cool springs out and replaced it with the shorter spring to give it that low stance, to get rid of that fender well gap. And, I mean, you got it all blacked out already. You had to have the black wheels.
Of course. Now, if I had to pick wheels, that would be something that I would pick. They're very clean, very pretty, very nice.
Yeah. And it's still going to retain that factory Cadillac ride. Classy?
Oh, the runners. Oh, I knew you were going to do that. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful.
Can't have that old pontoon look. Just to give it that clean, streamlined look.
I'm going to cry.
You know, after 28 years together, you know, every once in a while you got to show your appreciation, right? And you show your appreciation in giving your wife something really cool to drive.
You did good. You did good. I will never say it again.
I was surprised as you were when Bill said, nope, we're going to go just a couple mods on this one.
They haven't always turned out as well.
Let's check out under the hood. I got a little surprise under there for you.
Okay. Oh, wow.
You know, they don't make a kit for this. So Justin adapted everything and made the whole Pro Charger work on this.
So all this is custom.
Yep. Every bit. It runs real good.
It's very nice.
You're about 620 horsepower now. So Betty is going to get it. You're definitely going to make up some time and have plenty of extra leisure time now.
Cool.
I knew you were going to love it.
Yep, it's awesome. It sounded pretty.
Yeah, it sounds good. It had a little whistle to it. You needed that. Just way too quiet from the factory. I mean, looking at it, it's got to have a little deeper tone to the exhaust, so you get that whole attitude. When you roll up...
Oh, she's definitely gonna draw some attention.
Most definitely.
It's nice.
I'm glad you like it. I think we did good. If she was making this car herself, I think we gave her exactly what she...
This is really nice. You did a great job, and I'm very flattered. And all the other teachers are going to be really jealous. Beautiful.
Just like you.
Oh, my gosh.
Cool. What we got is a 2017 F-150 pull-out with this engine. The 5.0 Coyote is a great platform for making a lot of power. We're going to change a couple things. We're going to change intake, put headers on it, and with the tune and E85, it should make about an extra 100 rear-wheel horsepower. So this thing's going to make plenty of power for old Coupe. How do you start stretching every day, all day? On the really big jobs like the 46 Coupe, you just know it's going to be a marathon. Ow.
So we're stripping down the engine, taking all the old stuff off, stuff we're not going to use.
Every step you take, there's 100 more to go. We like to recycle. Just like going to pick up old dogs, we get old motors. We got a good steering. Next step's finishing up the front suspension. Keep going on the body work and make that interior all from scratch. But man, once Ryan's dad sees old Blue Thunder, this is definitely going to be something like he's never seen before.
Oh, man.
Man, this thing is a 2021 F450 King Ranch. What could you possibly want to do to it?
It needs to haul our show trucks to car shows. The truck drives by, I won't see it, we'll go, dang, look at that right there. We got to go a little bit bigger than I was originally anticipating.
This thing is a beast.
You know, a few months back, old Blue Thunder was just a shell of a vehicle. There's a lot of work involved to bring it up to 2021 standards.
We want to make sure that this thing still has that classy look, that classy feel to it.
This is not like anything we've ever built before. That is way bigger than I thought you guys were going to build it.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Foot a little heavy getting out of the truck there?
You know, got to test out the new tires, you know, straight from the dealership. You got to break them in.
So, man, you finally found one, huh?
Yeah.
I know you've been looking for a minute trying to get one.
These aren't easy to find these days, for sure. You know, it's time for a new shop vehicle. Man, it feels like we go through one every couple years. I need something that will pull a new trailer that will haul multiple cars at once. You know, the F450 is the perfect platform for what we do around here.
Man, this thing is a 2021 F450 King Ranch. What could you possibly want to do to it? Like, what's wrong with it?
Man, it's a really, really nice truck, but I can't be riding around stock like this. I can't do it. Customization is in my blood. This is what we live and breathe every day. I cringe when I'm driving down the road in a stock vehicle. I mean, that's not me. So I'm thinking, it needs a couple of little small upgrades. Just a real small, super small lift, and maybe just a little upgraded tires. A little bit bigger, a little bit wider, nothing crazy.
Bill Carlton that I know was never happy with 19.5s. In 2000, you had to get semi-wheels and turn them down. Then you had to get the Hummer and put the biggest wheel on it. Then your lifted truck had the biggest 30x16s. And this one we're going to do just a little bit bigger.
Just a little. We're way too busy to build a bunch of crazy stuff on it. So just a little bit higher, a little bit nicer wheel and tire, just a little bit taller, a little wider.
So the biggest wheel and tire possible.
Man, just a little bit bigger.
I'll make sure we're on the same page here, and you are hearing what you're saying. You want to do a little lift and a little upgrade on wheel and tires.
That's it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and open the bay door, and we'll get in the air. We'll get ready. We may have to put on the bigger bay, because I know it may not fit out that door after the big lift and wheels and tires. I'm going to open the door.
I've been a fan of the F-Series trucks for quite some time. As soon as the new 2021 came out, I definitely had my eye on it. As much as I like these trucks, there's always something that just sticks out in your head that you don't like about it. So, that's what I want to do. Just get it in the shop and put my custom touches on it. And just when I buy a car, that's the first thing I want to do is just tearing it all out and just starting over. Just see what we can do to make it cool, make it stand out, make it different. And really, that's what Extensive is all about, making a bone stock car cool. I mean, even something that's been customized before, it doesn't matter. We're going to make it cooler. I'm going to be driving this truck on a almost daily basis back and forth to work. So I'm excited to get it in the two-post lift and start tearing this apart and start creating something cool. You get it up here, Timmy.
I'm just wondering why you wanted it this high.
What do you think? That's not a good ride height?
It wouldn't surprise me one bit how high you want to go.
No. Man, after looking it over, I'm going to say it this one time. This time, you're right, Timmy. You're right. We got to go a little bit bigger than I was originally anticipating. A little bit. I mean, this represents everybody here. Not only am I going to drive it a lot, but we're going to use it for the shop. We're going to go to shows, and I want to get a 2-car trailer to put behind it, load some cars up on it, have a nice-looking caravan going down the road. We're well represented. Yeah. A little bit bigger wheel than I was originally anticipating, so 28-inch wheel, and the tires maybe a little bit bigger too, like 40s.
He said I'm going a little bit bigger tire, a little bit bigger wheel.
Yeah, and then we got to be able to clear the 40s, so it's got to be at least 3 feet off the ground, right? And I want to switch up a little bit too and put coilovers on it this time. Coilovers on the front, nice shock hoop and everything, but on the back, we can't have a coilover and haul a 2-car trailer, right? So a big airbag on the back, big 4-link front and rear, so we can totally adjust it depending on the weight, so we can haul whatever we want and not have any issues. Right. And we got to make it look good while we're going there too. So you don't want to take all the chrome off, paint the grill, all color match, all black, and just make this thing look mean coming down the road. And I want to put a rolling lock bed cover on it too, just so we can lock up all our stuff in it and just not have to worry about nothing. Just use it, man. We'll have a good time with it. So y'all ready to do it?
Let's do it.
We got a brand new King Ranch in. We're gonna go ahead and start getting this took apart. We can make it a whole lot cooler. One shot, brand new. I think this truck only has like 40 26 miles on it. It's the kind of shop we are, I guess. You know? Now all we got left is the drive shaft. I'm gonna remove that. Hey Tim, would you give me a hand?
Alright, it's gonna go get powder coated.
Not gonna try and lower this by myself. I'm gonna call Mr. Muscle over. Thanks, Muscle Man.
All right, we got the truck all disconnected from the axles, got rid of all the leaf springs, the multiple measurements to figure out the ride height, where I want the truck to sit. The axles are located at the right height, so the next step is building the 4-link placement. Everything is going to depend on the drop down on the frame itself of where the play happy. So it's really critical of placement of all the pivot points. So I got to locate where the pivot points are. Once those are located on the template, all I have to do is get back and draw whatever looks cool. I got my pivot points located in the template itself. Got a real rough idea how I want the shape in metal. The drop down itself is going to be really a focal point to look at. So you really want that to look cool. I think what I'm going to do is bring it over to the table, then I can really lay it out and really get a feel for design. You know, I just want to come up with something that's different. You know, I hate doing the same thing over and over and over. So that's definitely not what we're going to do on this. We're going to do something that's unique, creative. That's what I want. I want something, when the truck drives by, people go, dang, look at that right there. And this being a major focal point on parts, this has got to look good. The major shape, the major measurements are all in place. So I'm going to transfer this over to some metal. So I'm going to give this to Jesse. Buddy, you already know.
Yep.
At a 1/4 inch. This is the main thing right here. Is 3/4 hole, 3/4 hole. And the rest, this just make it straight here.
All right, I'll get right on it. All right, so Bill brought me the drawings for the hangers. So now what I'm gonna do now is just grab all the measurements, just put them on my trusty computer, and get it ready to go on the plasma table. But now the only thing is, these are a whole lot longer, because usually the ones we build usually are like half the length. So these are like double the length. This actually backs up perfectly, so the machine did its job. So now what I'm gonna do, just clean them up real quick. Find the center of these circles right here. I'm gonna mark my hose, punch them. I gotta clean that one off real quick. So I got these all cleaned up, punched up. As you can see, these hangers are big, bigger than normal size, but it's for Bill's shop truck, and you already know, whatever Bill does is never small. So let me walk this over to him to see how that truck turns out.
You know, lifting up the 450 is part 1 of my new idea for the shop trucks all around the country. And for that, we need a custom trailer. And luckily, I know just the guy to help. What's up, Brian?
Hey, man. What's going on? How you doing?
Man, real good, real good.
What's going on in your world? What are you in there for?
Well, I got a new shop truck.
Okay.
And it's got a little lift on it.
They all have a little lift on it. What are we talking a little lift here?
Well, it's a little higher than normal.
Come on, let's go in the back here and draw it up.
So, Robert, what I need is a bumper pull.
Right.
And I want the ability of hauling 2 cars at once, and I don't want to be limited to the weight I can carry. My big 5500, which is 16,000 pounds, and and Tim's truck itself is over 10,000. Plus, whatever else I fit on the trailers.
Okay.
At least 30,000 pounds.
I think we got the perfect trailer for you. What we can do is we can take one of our basic PT trailers here. We can modify the front to where we'll put a 1-inch plate here at the height we need, so that you won't have a big drop coming off the truck.
Right, yeah, that's what I don't want, is the big drop coming down, having to support it,
Exactly.
and have to worry about stopping and starting.
We'll put all of that on the trailer itself. This one shows fold-over ramps. We're going to do pull-out ramps. make it easier for you to get up on there.
Right.
These are typically your tungstens. That should give you more than enough capacity for anything that you're trying to do. We're going to go with 17.5 tires, dual wheel. You will not have wheel and tire issues. I promise you that.
Big axles, big tires, super long.
This thing is going to be massive. With all the specs and things that Bill's telling me, this is probably going to be one of the largest open-air bumper pull trailers that we've ever built.
That sounds like it. That's what I need.
All right,
let's do it.
Now that we figured out the hangers, Tim and Dave are making room for the huge drop down by smoothing everything out.
What do you think, Timmy?
That's a big bracket.
It's a huge bracket that holds a lot of weight, right?
Plus, with all this boxed, it's going to be even stronger.
Oh, yeah. What we'll do, we got the two outer pieces on. Let's get the two inner pieces on, and we'll start boxing that in. That's the next step. Because we're going to be hauling a lot of weight with the F450, the rear suspension has to be extra heavy duty. We're going to make the 4 links out of 5/16 DOM tubing. And then we're going to build our 4-link bars. So it's literally bulletproof.
Lower.
Twist it. All right, 58 and 3/8. This is going to let us transfer all the power from the truck all the way down to the axle, and it all comes right through the 4-link bars themselves. So that's a major component of the suspension and transferring all the power to the truck, to the road, and to be able to handle everything that's behind this truck as far as stopping and starting. All of that weight gets transferred right here on these bracketry all the way up to the truck itself.
We're making the rear link bars. These are the, looks like the lower. I seen I made the lines when I was cutting with the saw, so I know this is as far as I can go to get my measurement for the coping. But as long as I go to there, I'm good.
It's pretty cool. We can make these quick little fixtures, quick little jigs, to make them consistent. Not only that, when we're building it, but after we tear this apart, get it powder coated, we use that same jig to put it all back together. It all goes right back in nice and straight. You don't have to, you already know it because the picture's already here. Get it all square first. So it's a really critical stage of the build process is getting everything 100% squared. We want the truck going down the road with the trailer going perfectly straight. Ready?
Yeah.
That is absolutely perfect. Timmy.
Yes, sir.
Man, the 046 Ford. It's endless, right?
It's always the small details that take the longest, and we ain't started none of those yet.
Right.
A few months back, Old Blue Thunder was just a shell of a vehicle. In a few more months, it'd be a badass surprise from my fellow Northsider, Ryan and his dad. We gotta hook him up. We gotta get it done.
Yeah, you're true on that. We need to get something good for him.
Good thing. We got a lot of stuff out of the way. We got a lot of stuff checked off our list. We got the frame complete. We got the rear suspension done. We got the engine mounted. Got rid of the old Chevy engine. Got a new late model 5.0 Coyote in it. We've done a lot of work to it, but we got a long way to go still. Next up on the list is all new floor. There's no reason to even try to save it. Let's just cut it all to the rear bumper. Front suspension. There's nothing in the interior, which is good. We don't have to tear anything out anymore. Bad for John. John's got to make everything. But, the good thing about it, we can make it how we want it and make it cool. There's a lot of work involved there to bring it up to 2021 standards.
So where do you want to start?
Well, let's just get out and get after it. We'll get the floors done, get the front suspension done, then we can pull the front end off and do the firewall.
All right, well, I'll get with Max and get the column, the gauges, the AC, make sure we have everything here, and if not, we need to get it here, because right now, shipping is crazy. You think 2 days, it take 2 months.
When it came back back from Media Blast, the Ford was in really, really rough shape. The body guys can fix some of it, but the floors are just beyond fixing. So we cut them all out and just started totally fresh.
So now I got the old floor cut out. Next step is go ahead and start breaking my new metal for the transition. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out and continue on making the drive shaft tunnel. Okay, so I got my 2 filler pieces in. Next step is go ahead and make this piece tunnel. As you can see, all these little lines right here, I'm breaking it. It's starting to roll. So if I do enough of these lines on both sides of the center, it's going to have a nice radius of the transmission. Everything's looking good right here. So now it's time to go ahead and make my drive shaft tunnel fit to my transmission tunnel. To be able to do it in one piece. There's no breaks in it, so it's going to be one nice smooth line. It's going to go right to my transmission tunnel. Everything is really just coming together on this car. There you go, man.
Heck yeah.
This is pretty much the only piece of the original floor left. Everything else has been made new.
Alright. Looking good, man, compared to what it was, right? Full of rust and full of holes and
This wasn't safe.
full of crap.
Yeah.
This puts us about midway point as far as they'll take the body off and get busy.
That sounds good.
To save some time, we're going to work on the front and the back at the same time for the coupe. So our new fabricator, John, is making the notch cover. We've heard about John for a while. We know about his skill set. And as busy as we are right now, it's good to have him on the team.
So now we got the notch in, and it all fits nice. We're gonna go ahead and tack it in place, and we're gonna join the back of the car to the front of the car and fill a little bit around the notch, and be done with the floors in this car.
We finally got the body in the 46 Ford Coupe in good enough shape. So now John can make the new door panels.
All right, I've got all my pieces made, got them together. So the next thing I'm gonna do is actually get in the car. We wanna start getting them in place and getting it laid out and getting all the structure there. Once that's all in place, we'll start mudding it together. We're gonna do it in the car. That way you can see the door has a little bit of a curve to it. So if we body work this in place, it's gonna help hold that curve. That way the panel won't flex and go flat. We can go body work it over on the table and get it finished up over in the shop. So this is our insert, and what we're going to do, take this TIG rod and I'm going to bend it around my insert just to create some body insert, and I'm going to scribe it out and just creating some layout lines so I know where to put my rods at. I'm going to use my insert as my jig to bend it. Alright, that's going to be our layout right there. Everything's got a good line to it, so grab some glue, lock these down. Bill wants to keep the feel and style of an old hot rod, just to keep it nice and clean and give it some elegant touch to it without going too far overboard.
It's kind of got that 50s diner look. We should be in roller skates and doing this. Just roll around.
Alright, so we'll let that do its thing. Once it's dry, we'll start with the body work. Time to sling a little mud. Just want to use our wire as our guide. Get a nice contour in here. Now we're just taking our paper and sanding our contour into this. What I'm doing is I'm only putting the bevel on one side of the wire. That way it just kind of steps up and down. It looks like layers in the panel. All right, so we got everything body worked in. Lines are nice and straight, everything looks good. These two inserts are gonna have the accent color on them, and with this panel being wrapped in the base color of the car, and it fits right into the door. Magic.
F450, we're gonna go air on the rear and coilovers in the front. With that kind of setup, the rear airbags will be extra strong and be able to handle whatever we wanna haul. While the coilovers in the front give us just that different look for this go around.
So first thing is go ahead and start putting the coilovers in is making them a mount right here. This is gonna be the base of the coilover right here. Then we'll bring it all the way up. I'm gonna make a nice little radius across here, a couple bends, and this is where I'll attach the top of my coilover. So first thing is go ahead and get started making those mounts. Some people might buckle under the pressure of, you know, building some custom, especially some custom for Bill Carlton, because, you know, Bill Carlton, he's been doing this for a long time. Me, I've worked side by side with Bill for years. I build them all the same. Safety first, you know, quality. Everything has to be strong, sturdy, and built to last. So, you know, that's why I'm there, because not only will we be hauling a lot of weight, I mean, it's a reflection of us, the shop, and I'm building it, so I want to do the best to my ability. That's the bottom wrapped up. Now go ahead and move on to the top. Yeah, I like the way it looks now.
You know, Jamie did a real good job getting our top loop in and our bottom coilover bracket. It's going to be a little different from what we normally do. You know, normally it's coilovers front and back, or bags front and back. This was a little different. I want coilovers on the front just because I want to do a different look this year. But, you know, I'm going to be hauling a lot of weight. We're all going to be hauling a lot of weight. This is going to be pretty much, you know, a shop truck, so we definitely can't haul a lot of weight with coilovers. So we're going to do bags on the back, coilovers in the front, just kind of mix it up a little bit. The thing I'm trying to do now, the challenge is we got a bunch of tube work in the back for the bags that come down to the bag. Now this is just total opposite, where the coilover is going to be mounted up high, so all the pipe work has to go up in the front and all down in the back. So we're going to try to do our best. Man, that's what it needs, is some three-dimensional more.
Yeah, bring it out. Definitely give it that style we're looking for.
So let's bend this same radius, probably right about here.
All right, I guess we can start bending.
That'll work. Just looking at it, it looks like some bent pipes. We just cut the ends off, put up there, but that's definitely not the case. It is very labor intensive to notch, bevel, cut, grind, do that 20 times in some cases just to make the pipe fit just right. And once you weld over it, it just looks super easy then, but it's definitely not that easy. See, it looks like somebody looking through binoculars.
I don't know what it looks like. I like the way it looks. It looks good. Nice.
You know, I got a call from Robert saying the F450 trailer is ready for pickup. You know, it's usually midday. I'm that customer, and I'm excited. Robert, what's happening, man?
How you doing, man?
Man,
doing all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You ready to pick that thing up?
I'm definitely ready to check it out, and I'm ready to put it to work.
We're all excited about this trailer. This is the biggest thing we've ever built here. So we can't wait to see what you're going to load on it.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go check it out. Man, I think you're going to be excited about this. This thing is a beast.
Man!
All right, what do you think about this? This is what we talked about.
Man! This is exactly what I need. This is badass.
This is not like anything we've ever built before.
This is really going to help me and the shop out. You can't haul the cars that we have on a normal trailer. It has to be custom built like this.
Check out this hitch that we put on the front of it. 1 inch thick plate.
What?
No ball. We're going to put a pintle eye on the front of this.
What? I've never had one of those like that. It's crazy looking.
For the kind of weight that you're hauling, you got to have it. We've got multiple adjustment holes where we can raise it up to the height that you need with that big truck.
No matter if it's high, low, whatever weight you got on it,
we'll be able to raise it. We've got hydraulic that you're going to put on this thing. You're not going to have any issues as far as raising this thing up and down.
I hate trying to. I can't.
You will never have that issue again, and it will pick up anything that you've got on there. This will handle it.
Man, this is cool. This is cool.
We have changed out all of the axles. You have got 15,000 pounds on each axle.
What?
17 5-wheel and tire assemblies. You are not going to have an issue on this.
This is way more than I was thinking in my head. I'm impressed.
Good. That's what we do. Look at the length of this. 40 foot.
Super long.
40 foot dub on the end for easy loading.
We can haul 2 cars on this, no matter what they are. I want to be able to go anywhere I want to go and haul anything I want to on it.
This will handle it.
Thank you.
Hey, this is the first for us. I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you, man. I knew you were going to hook me up.
Once you get it hooked up, put the trucks on it, send some pictures. I can't wait to see it.
I'm going to do that, man. Thank you, Robert. You know, the 21 F450 is going to perform double duties for us. It needs to haul our show trucks to car shows while looking good doing it. You know, we got the lower bag mounts done. We got the upper bag mounts all tied in. You know, it isn't as strong as we need. So it's all about adding a lot more bars, a lot more strength, and a lot more style. You know, the key to making it super strong is the intersections of all the piping, all the joints where they intersect with one another, and one transfers the weight down to another joint, transfers the weight to somewhere else. So just like kind of like a truss system where you have the little zigzags and they all intersect at certain points, and that's basically what we're building here on the suspension itself, is using the pipes not only for style, but it's also meant to be super strong. You know, in a process like this, you know, there comes a time where you know it's done, it feels right, looks right. That's exactly what this does. Now it's time to blow it apart and get it off to powder coat. The 46 Coupe is one of those really iconic cars. So we're going to add modern features and still keep that custom classic design. So John is hiding the subwoofer in a fully custom built suitcase.
One of the things we have to do with this 46 Ford is we want to make sure that this thing still has that classy look, that classy feel to it. So how to do it is going to be to disguise it. So I've already built the subwoofer enclosure to look just like a suitcase. Things got all the detail sanding done, looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with wrapping the center of this. You got to get down into the groove where it looks like it separates. And we'll work it up into each groove, top and bottom. And then from there, it'll be looking like a suitcase. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take our vinyl here, get it all glued up. All right, set that to the side, glue up the enclosure. I'll use a paintbrush and get the glue all the way down in the crack. That way when I wrap it, it'll hold the vinyl in place. And boom goes the dynamite. All right, here we go. It's a moment of truth. Stick it and start wrapping. Just want to start by working this down into this groove here. Give a little stretch around that corner. Working around these corners is very difficult. You want to make sure that you work down into the bottom of this corner, because if you just stretch it across it and go around it, you won't be able to get down into the bottom and we'll lose this detail. Perfect. Quite an adventure to get around this thing and get this thing wrapped, but in the end, I think it's going to be well worth it. It looks like a piece of luggage from the 1940s instead of a subwoofer from 2000. That is our suitcase. Let's get some belts on it. So this is just a piece of welt cord. We'll be taking this, wrapping it with our vinyl, and this is what gets tucked down into the groove around the suitcase. This is just going to help to mimic the seam on the suitcase where the tops and the edges come together. It's just a little creative detail in here. I'm going to trim it down so it's narrow enough, and we'll just wrap it around the box. Like a glove. Last thing to go on. Now, we'll put our woofer in it. All right. And no one's going to ever know that there's a speaker in this thing. This thing turned out great. Almost better than I imagined it, so get it in the car.
Like any big job, the 46 Coupe has a big checklist for all the stuff we got to get done. And this one is a really long list. While John and his team are making the custom interior, we're finishing up the front suspension. You know, Old Blue Thunder's really come together. We got the frame done, got the body, getting busy, so how to build everything. So the next step, putting the wheel and tire underneath with the spindle, mocking up the lower control arms. Then we're really rolling with it, and we get this thing done. I'm gonna call that ride height. It's good. It's the perfect distance this way, because we're gonna get a little bit of negative camber when we go up, so that'll clear even more and more, you know, with the radius. You'll see the angle of the lower ball joint real quick.
Needs to go forward about an inch, 3/4 inch.
You know, there's a lot of variables when it comes to setting something like this up. There's no, this is wrong, this is right. You got to rely on the experience each and every single time, build upon the last experience. So that's where we're at right now, is the latest and greatest doing what we do. While the frame just needing a little bit of final welding and the cab in the body shop, I can finally see the end on this build. Next up, the last bits of metal work. Full interior, rolling chassis, paint, and we'll be able to surprise Ryan's dad with Blue Thunder looking a whole lot better than it did sitting in his garage. Sure, there's a couple of old timers that worked on this car when it was new. They had no With the 450 being so high up, I want to add some lights. So George is going to light this thing up.
So today we're going to be installing 20 rock lights. It's going to light up the whole undercarriage. You know, our focus is to light up, you know, all the suspension work, everything that's, you know, it's custom made. We're going to, you know, light up the whole rear end, the whole front axle. So it's a real meticulous job, but once it's all done, it really sets the car off at night. So like on these, usually what we have to do before we start drilling is we have to look underneath the hood, because on these newer models, you know, they have so much electronics, they have everything that they jam up under the hood, that you have to be careful, because if you start drilling, you can easily, you know, drill through like an ECM or a fuse box or something. Perfect example, there's a big wiring harness right here, and we could easily hit this, so that's pretty much why you want to be careful when you want to pull these out, or always see before you start drilling. Now that I got the holes in the fender wells, it's time to start running some wire. You know, the tough challenge on it, it's going to be is just trying to link everything up together, you know, making sure that everything is in line. And not only does it have to work right, you know, it has to look good underneath the truck, because this is a jacked up truck, you know, and when people look underneath it, you don't want to see wires hanging or, you know, things right underneath the motors. You want it to look nice and neat for putting these lights. They're 2,000 lumen, and they have 3 little LEDs in them. So, I mean, you always want to put them in the right space. That way we don't cast any shadows or anything like that. They're right in the perfect place to show the perfect lighting on it. Cool, I got these all wired in. Now time to plug them up and see if they work. 2 down, 18 to go.
I can't stand all that chrome on the new 450 shop truck. So we're going to pull it all off, and Edgar and the team are going to paint it all glossy black to match the rest of the truck.
We got this grill for Bill's F450. What he wants to do is black it out. So what I got to do, pretty much tear it apart, scuff it, prep it, and turn it into gloss black. Pretty much what I'm mixing up is some sealer that's specialized for chrome, because usually when most people paint chrome, eventually like 2 months or so later it starts flaking off. So this is the sealer that I'm using, which is black. It's gonna give me an advantage of when I throw my coat, which is the base coat. It gives faster coverage, and it'll be gloss black by the end of the day. Done deal, baby.
So at a young age, I got into cars. All through high school, had custom cars, and kind of grew from a hobby to a full-time career. My favorite part about building the cars and why I do what I do is I like to be able to show what I do with my hands and create something from nothing. For me as a builder, I've always been on the forefront of all new technology, new builds, new custom ideas.
I'm a real technological person, so I've been able to bring the 21st century into a lot of hot rod builds, which is kind of where the industry is going now. Extensive has always been years ahead of the game. Stuff that they're doing now, people are not going to be doing for 5 more years, you know. And to be here and kind of bring, ideas I have and the skills I have to team up with what they already do and all the extravagant builds they do is just going to kill it. I always like doing different kinds of stuff. I don't like to be like the cookie cutter kind of guy where you're doing the same car over and over, repetitive stuff. One thing about being extensive, you never know what's going to come through the door next. You look at it and go, how are we going to do that? And next thing you know, it's just, wow, there it is.
It's all coming together on the F450. We're going to add 28-inch wheels and a rolling bed cover. I love seeing projects come together. New shop truck, new shop trailer, trailer loaded. It's impressive. As good as the 450 looks, it's got to be built to perform. We have a car show we're going to, so we're going to load it up with about 20,000 pounds. So we're not wasting any time putting the shop truck to work. Last little bit, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I know it's your first show with us, man. You got to be excited.
I am, dude. I am. I love the shows.
Hey, it's a lot of work, but you have a good time, too.
It's a lot of stuff.
You ready to roll, man? Last little bit.
Everything else is pretty much loaded up.
Man, Timmy's finishing up right now with the trucks. He got it all loaded up. This is the last thing. We can roll.
It's ready to go?
Yeah. Here, I'll grab this one.
All right, let's go see it. I'll get this.
Come on, man.
Oh, man. That is way bigger than I thought you guys were going to build it.
A little bit higher than we originally anticipated.
For sure.
Well, it's got to look good, too.
Oh, it definitely does. Me being in the office, I don't get to see a whole lot of the builds until they're done. But seeing this thing roll out, as a whole is just, it's mind-blowing.
Let's go check it out.
All right.
Let's go load up.
That's a hauler. Right? That is serious.
Do you expect anything less than Bill to put a brand new truck on the lift?
That's very true.
It's a little bit higher than I was originally going to do. We just, keep pushing the button, kind of
look better as it got bigger.
Get it on the lift.
It's a little higher when you wanted it.
It's a perfect height.
It's awesome.
I know at first I said I wanted just a little lift, little tires, but seeing the truck now, the height it is, the huge lift we put on it, the huge 4-link, all blacked out with big wheels and tires, this couldn't represent Extensive any better.
The wheels on this thing are awesome. That set it off right there.
28-inch TISs, all black.
That's a monster. But it fits it.
Perfect. Yes.
And the 4-link under there is just massive.
Yeah, you was wondering why I needed that many 1-inch FK Heims, right?
Yeah. Now I see why they're all there.
Right. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of weight behind stopping and starting. So each one of those points were just critical. It's pretty cool, too. I wanted to mix it up a little bit and put coilovers in the front. And, of course, we had to have the airbags in the back. To haul weight like this, there's no way you could haul this much tonnage with coilovers in the test,
much less 2 trucks on this trailer. So this truck's going to be a workhorse that we're going to use. I mean, it's going to be used.
We had to make it look cool, too. We had to have the tube work coming all down and just black it all out.
Bill could not have any chrome. Everything blacked out.
And spider wraps come in, wrap the bars, wrap the shocks, the inner fender wells. It's still black, but it's little twist.
Yeah. And how shows go, we can't leave all the products in there. So we put a bed cover and a pull out. There's a deck system in the bed. You pull out and everything goes in there. And then the cover covers everything.
Yeah, so we can lock it up, put all our straps up, put all our equipment up. Very cool.
You guys ready to roll? That's all done.
Everything's strapped. That strap, trailer's hooked up. Put these in, we can roll.
Let's go for a test drive.
Let's go.
I'm driving.
Shotgun.
Show season starting off, and I'm excited. It used to be when I roll into a car show, you want to get that trophy. Now how you roll into the car show is way more impressive than any trophy you go home with, in my opinion. Rolling up in the new shop truck, new trailer, with the trailer fully loaded, that's what the car show is all about to me. Just one more example of us building cool stuff and then
showing how we do it all around the country. What do you think, Brian?
Beautiful.
We got to finish up old Blue Thunder, the 46 Ford Coupe.
So I'm gonna go ahead and create some running boards from scratch.
That's a big panel.
Now it's time to put some new metal back on this thing.
I don't know if we ever worked on an MG here before. Whose car is this?
Some guy named John Cena.
There's a whole community that lives and breathes these cars. And there's going to be all eyes on this when we're done. The all-tube custom buggy is a huge job. This is going to make some power.
1,500 horsepower and about 2,000 foot-pounds of torque.
It's going to be a rocket.
Definitely gonna bring my helmet.
You're definitely going to need your helmet.
No riding with you.
Man, it's cool when it always comes together.
That can't be mine.
Whoa, look at there.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
You know, ever since Extensive started, trying to get jobs in the door, somebody had a crazy idea. Cool, bring it on. I'll figure it out. I didn't tell them I would figure it out. Man, no problem at all. But, getting into the job, you have that little anxiety of, man, I'm not real sure what to do. But, I know I can figure it out. No matter how big the job is, how small the job is, we get in and we get it figured out every time. Here, cut my truck in half and make it a little longer. No problem at all. We'll figure it out. Here we are, 23 years later. We're still saying yes to all the jobs, no matter how big, how small. That's exactly why I get at the shop every morning early. Good morning. Getting the guys going, getting parts coming, trying to coordinate is super tough. So getting to work early is absolutely what it takes to keep building the business, to keep getting cars in and out. That's the name of the game.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if we ever worked on the MG here before, but
What's your first?
I'm always up for it. The MGC was only produced 1967 to 1969. There wasn't that many of them even made, let alone still around to customize. Extensive isn't real big into the British motoring scene, but, I guess somebody wants to customize this. I'm in. Whose car is this?
Some guy named John Cena.
Surely not the John Cena, right? I mean, look at this car. That's a big old dude to have a little car, so it can't be. Can't be. It'd suck to have the same name as a famous guy, right?
I mean, until you go get a dinner reservation.
Well, I get you get a pretty good table, huh?
Yeah, until you show up.
Right? So you don't have any idea what we're doing, anything?
Nope. I'm gonna text you this information. You can take care of it.
Yeah, text me all that, man. I'll get in touch with them, see what we're doing to it. I could look around this car all day and, just have a bunch of ideas. But until I actually talk to the owner, John Cena, once I talk to him, get a game plan nailed down, we'll kind of go from there. It's just point, we don't even have an empty bay for this build. So before we even think about getting going, we got to finish up old Blue Thunder, the 46 Ford Coupe.
How's everything with the Coupe out there?
That's a big, big, big project, right? Big.
Yeah.
A long, drawn-out process. Getting the body to where it's at now just has taken months and months.
Oh, yeah, that thing was beat up.
It was definitely beat up. After decades of collecting dust in the garage, my Northside neighbor Ryan wants to surprise his dad by having us customize his 46 Ford and make it one of one. We made good headway. You know, the body work's mainly all done on the outside of the car, which is really saying something. That's a lot of work on that whole car. Ton. The floor's in. We got a long way to go still. We got to build the running boards, firewall. We need to finish the front suspension. That way we can get the frame off to powder coat. We can get the body on a cart, and they can start doing the final body work and pick a color and make old Blue Thunder come back to life.
The color's gonna be blue.
I mean, it's still Blue Thunder. Right. If it was named back in the 80s and...
But his name.
Yeah. You know, it's our first time working on a 46, but it ain't our first time building a cool car, that's for sure.
Or the last.
Damn, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully my sons do that for me one day. Who knows? These days it's getting a lot harder just to find the parts. A lot of the times it's just easier, sometimes faster, just to make them ourselves. So John's gonna make those new running boards.
The car from the factory came with running boards, and because we don't have none, it needs something there between the front and rear fender. It looks like something's missing. So I'm gonna go ahead and create some from scratch, make this car look right. We have nothing to work with, so I'm figuring it out as I go. Started with the sheet metal, it's gonna bolt up under the cab, and then I'll get my outside contour once this is all bolted up under there. There's really no science to this. I'm just giving this bar a slight curve. I don't want it to be overbent where it looks like a big bubble coming out of the side of the car. And I don't want it too straight where it looks flat. We got to get it the same curve almost to what the body has to it, so it looks like it fits that car perfectly. And that looks good. Now all I got to do is cut the ends off to match the contour of the fender. Damn, son. Now with the tubing laying on top of the panel, I marked me a line with the edge. What I'm gonna do is trim that panel off, and that bar will go underneath it. I got the top panel all clamped down to the sidebar. I'm gonna tack it all in place, flip it over, add some cross sections in there. So when this gets bolted up to the cap, the bolt's gonna go through these and the sheet metal to make everything stronger. All right, I got everything in place, tacked in. Now I'm gonna get this under there and that should fit in there nice and snug. Just right. Got a little bit more welding to do, and we'll be good to go.
You know, there was nothing, absolutely nothing inside the coupe before we started. So John and his team are getting it done, some really badass custom door panels.
That's a big panel. I didn't think it was this big, and so I tried to get it out of the car. I got everything mudded up in place, so all we gotta do now is just sit here and sand and sand and sand.
A lot of sanding.
Hey, at least we won't sand alone.
No, we got each other's.
Yes.
Gonna share the pain.
This next thing we'll do is just take some 36 grit, knock down all the high spots and everything. That way when we go to run our tools across it, don't have to worry about our spreaders getting snagged up or anything.
I'm gonna work on the other panel while you get your shape in.
Okay. With the size and the quality of the builds we're doing, wow. And she brings a different set of skills I really thought we could use.
I actually started my professional model making career working as a subcontractor for NASA. So I was doing little plastic scale models and doing full-size module mock-ups to train astronauts. I have had a still model of mine in space.
Put a little cheese on it, and we mix. So as you can see, we've got everything molded together from the rear quarter all the way into the door panel. Everything's got good curves, lines, everything's molded out real nicely. We've got our details in it that we were after. So all this is done. All we have left to do now is get it wrapped up and get it in the car.
You know, the body was in bad shape, a lot of it way beyond repair. So Jamie and John are fabricating some of the last minute work.
Okay, so you can see that firewall's got way too many holes. It's old, it's nasty. Now it's time to put some new metal back in this thing. Okay, so I got pretty clean cuts on the old firewall. So I'm gonna use this as a template now. Pretty happy with that. make quick work. Think you can bead roll these panels for me real quick?
I got you. I'm gonna get this transferred over to some sheet metal, get bead rolled, and get this firewall placed back in the coupe. I'm gonna go in here and lay out some designs, kind of mimic the front end of this coupe, how the grill slats are horizontally. Then I'm gonna do that same concept here on the firewall. So what I'm doing is I'm staggering the edge of what I'm gonna bead roll, so the top one's gonna be narrower, the next one down is gonna be a little wider, so they're not just all ending up and down in the same straight line. So they're gonna kind of grow as they go down, just like the way the grill does on the front of the car. All right, man, I think it'll look good. Go ahead and bead roll this. Slow and steady and keeping your eyes on the line. That's the winning ticket. The cool thing about the custom cardboard is all this cool stuff we make here is done by hand, by eyesight, by the feel and touch. It's not a big old giant machine that's stamping out a piece of metal. This is tailored to that specific vehicle. That's custom, and that's what I love to do. Using the flat edge of this hammer, and I'm making all the corners pointy because you cannot get perfectly sharp corner with a round bead roll wheel. Now we got this all done, trimmed out. We're gonna take this handmade piece over to the coupe, get it tacked in place, and we'll have us a fresh custom firewall.
Northsider Ryan wants to surprise his dad with a custom 46 Ford with a one-of-a-kind design to match its classic look. And that's exactly the balance John's trying to hit with that center console.
Got a pretty cool idea for a design for the center console for the 46 Ford. I'm going to kind of try to mimic the hood a little bit at the front of the console. So we're going to do a little stack fab. I'm going to first start with making my template. So what I'll do is I fold it in half. That way I can get a mirror image to the other side. That transfers the arch that I made on one side to the other so that both sides are be symmetrical. So now everything's drawn out. All I have to do is finish cutting it out and we got our template. Now that we got our template made, we're ready to rock. So now we'll just take this, transfer this into some MDF, start stacking where it needs to be, and get it in the car. Just like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to do a layout here so that I can rough cut all my pieces. Grab my jigsaw, cut them out. Sit over to the router, stack them up, spread a little cheese. Okie dokie. Hey, Jen. You got some pieces?
I got some triangles. So these are coming from the transmission tunnel.
Yeah, just to give us our simulated angle that we're after here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take this piece of signboard and use that as a barrier between the two. So once it's all in place, we're gonna pack the inside edges with fiberglass. All right, everything's glassed up. Once it's dry, we can actually start carving on this. Once we get it all shaped out, then we can go back to the car and get it molded into the floor.
Part of never saying no is not saying no to my own crazy offer. And the latest is the all-tube custom buggy that we're going to build from scratch. All we have now is 58-inch tires and military-grade axles. But we're also going to need a lot of power. What's up, fellas?
What's happening, man?
How you doing, man? Man, what do you got, man? I thought you were bringing me an engine.
Well, we did.
See, engine parts.
Exactly. We're gonna put it together here, man.
Cool. Is it gonna make some power?
1,500 horsepower and about 2,000 foot-pounds of torque, a little over that. This thing's gonna make some power.
That's what I want, because I'm building this, full tube chassis buggy, and I want something that it will get it.
So you're gonna put a 1,500 horsepower Cummins in a tube chassis. How much is this thing gonna weigh?
Probably 2,500 pounds, maybe.
So 2,500 pounds, 1,500 horsepower, 2,200 foot-pounds of torque. It's gonna be a rocket.
That's exactly what I want.
You're gonna let me drive it, right?
There's so many things you have to do when you take an engine that runs 3,000 RPMs and take it to 6,000 RPMs to make it stay together. The factory valve spring doesn't have high RPMs. With the bigger cam that we're going to run in here, we got these right here. They have a lot more travel there. We can push it in farther, doesn't break the spring, or we can spin this thing to the moon, have an awesome time with it, make a lot of power.
So what we have here is the factory freeze plug. With all the power we're going to be pushing to it, it'll just blow these right out. It'll send them through the moon. These we thread into the head, so it actually screws in, so we can spin as much RPM, as much power we want to it. Just get these last few done, and then we're going to start assembling the engine. Yes, sir. So in order to handle all the RPMs and the load, we're going to have these billet tappets in there. These tappets are, twice as strong as the factory cast tappet. With these in there and the billet cam, we'll be able to spin this thing as high as we want with no issues. Got it?
So the crank we're using right here is a factory 6-7 crank that has been polished and balanced. It spins really good. We're fixing to install the lower main cap bearings and main caps, torque it down, check everything, and then we'll start putting the front cover on and installing the cam.
All right, we got a custom spec cam here for our 6.8 liter Cummins.
So what you see here, the tappets we put in earlier, they ride on this right here and they go up and they go down. So with this cam here, it actually has a lot more lift on these, so you get more air in and out. That lowers cylinder pressures and able to spin more without a restriction in the cylinder. Now that we got our cam in, we're going to put our billet retainer on. What this does is, we have all these gears moving around in here. These things like to walk off the camshaft. So what this does, goes on here, has a bolt in there, and that keeps the cam gear from walking off the cam.
Such a little simple fix can keep you from...
Save you thousands of dollars, man. Like a lot of money. Dad's got the ring size to each cylinder. Dad's going to push this in the cylinder here with this ring compressor, and Clay's going to put the rod caps on. We're going to do that 6 times.
Now that we got the rotating assembly in, I always like to turn them over with a pry bar to make sure that we don't have anything binding up. Everything spins freely. This one does spin like butter. We ought to be able to turn 6,000 RPMs out of this, no problem.
Easy, easy, easy. Beautiful.
The Wells family did a great job building a lot of horsepower in the engine, about 1,500 horsepower. Man, I think we're gonna put all this power in the back. All the monster trucks have that stuff for the weight distribution. They jump super good with all that weight, a little more equalized.
Okay, stay right there a minute.
Get that stand right there. Oh, man. That's 1,500 horsepower, man. That's going to be a lot for this buggy.
That's crazy. Never had a diesel with any kind of power like that ever.
So torquey, too, man.
I'm sure I'm going to get some calls of somebody wanting me to pull them out of the mud.
Man, if you don't get any calls, you didn't do it right.
We'll build stands for the engine, and then we'll figure out the wheelbase, and we'll be ready to start building. The all-tube custom buggy is a huge job, because all we got at this point is just a few parts. Everything else we need to make.
This thing has a ton of challenges, a ton of styling challenges.
What do you call it? The pre-motor mount?
Motor thing is heavy. It's a diesel. You got your transmission and a transfer case in this thing. There's a lot of weight right here, so I want to make sure it's supported good.
And just making everything go together challenges.
The next step on this is finding the wheelbase. There's no specific way to do that. There's no calculation, okay, for this buggy, you need this wheelbase. There's no such thing. Scoot the jack stand a little bit forward. Good.
So you just kind of go by the feel. You got to picture in your mind how the suspension is going to look before it's even there. The front axle is in a pretty good spot. The back seat, there's plenty of room there. And we got to take in consideration that the rear wheels are going to steer. Yeah. So we got to definitely make seat room for sure before you start making anything. You got to kind of visualize, okay, the 4-link bars are going to go here, steering shafts here, columns here, the gearbox needs to be over here.
That's almost where the steering wheel is at.
Yeah. And kind of reference all those years of building other cars, other trucks, and just kind of play it by ear. And we'll see what's about to happen.
I'm getting nervous, man. I'm definitely going to bring my helmet.
Trying to get the last of the front suspension done on the 46 Ford so we can get it off the powder coat. You know, we got our first side of the suspension all mocked up, which, you know, has its difficulties. You know, you're working around the alternator, you're working around the header, you're trying to get the pivot points all 100% so the camber's all right, you got plenty of alignment. You know, that's the difficult part of all the suspension work that we do around here. Once everything's figured out on one side, the difficulty is making everything a mirror image of what's on the driver's side. You know, this is one of the most crucial parts of the whole suspension building process. It's pretty close. Level. It's true. Getting that part all lined up 100% true is huge for the suspension building process. So next step is just taking a ton more measurements, and then we can do the bag mount, shock mount. That's a wrap. Did a great job on the 46 Ford. So we're ready to move it over to paint. And of course, Blue Thunder, it has to be blue. We got a ton of colors to pick from. There's a lot of blues. You know, there's a lot of pressure on me to pick the right color, not just to make the customer happy, but I want to pick the right color in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. That color still looks good on that car. You paint it a dark blue, it's going to date it. It's going to look like it was built back in the 80s, 90s, when everything was dark blue. The way the body is shaped, you know, I think a lighter color with a metallic is really going to set off the lines and the curves of the car. You know, I'm thinking something like this is really going to go good on the body style of that car.
But definitely it's going to be a cool color. We already put 2 of these bottles in there, and we still got to put more. I never seen a color take that much pro in it. The pro is gonna give that flop, you know, when the sun hits it. So I started painting cars when I was like 12. Then when I was in high school, I used to paint my friends' cars. I didn't know what I was doing, but then I went to school for it, learned how to do it the right way, and it went on from there. The car has a lot of curves, so it's really gonna make this pro stand out a lot. Painting the car, giving that cool color is what gives the car that life, gives the attitude to the car.
Right, Blue Thunder is back.
We finished the frame on the 46 Ford and sent it off to powder coat. It came back in a white base, and Juan and the team color matched it blue. Now we can get that late model Coyote engine on the frame. You know, it's been a long time coming. I'm really excited. It's been a lot of work for everybody on the whole team to get to this point right here. And I can't wait to give this to Brian. He's going to be just blown away. Seeing a big build like this come together, you know, as usual, my guys are just putting it all on the line. Because if we take a job like this in, we're going to get it done, and we're going to get it done right. That's just what this business is built upon, is not saying no, taking in those jobs that nobody else wants to do because they're too big or too complicated. Cena.
I mean, are you sure? Because really no one can see me.
You know, John, when your car came in, I was talking with the record driver, and he said it was John Cena's, and I was like, man, you know, I assumed such a small car was, you know, for a smaller John Cena somewhere else in the world, not the John Cena.
It's me, man, and I pride myself on the unexpected and the unpredictable, and there's a lot about me that people don't know from just what they've seen, and this is certainly an example.
You know, we never had an MG in the shop before, so I'm kind of interested in what do you want to do to this thing?
I love the old British cars because they're small. I love the look of like the gauges on the dash and just the old racy type of feel that the cars have. And I bought it because it was kind of rare, but the only thing that was rare about it is the V6, and the V6 is kind of a dog anyway. So you guys not only do rare, you do like one of one.
That's it.
So I wanted to take a car that's relatively affordable and do something absolutely crazy with it.
No pressure there, right?
Yeah. You guys kill it on stance, and you guys kill it on body and paint, but I want to put some power in this thing too. So I want to lower it. I want to make it a wide body, like a GT3.
Race inspired for that car, and I definitely dig that.
I want to keep that British feel on the interior, but I also want to make it racy. I've fallen in love with like the Gulf paint jobs, so I was even thinking like a French racing blue with orange and black pinstriping. And also, it's currently a 4-seat, and you know that if we do all these mods, nobody's going to ride in the back. So do whatever you want with the rear hatch. It is like a hatchback, so you guys can have some fun with the extra real estate in there and do whatever you want. I've been obsessing over this car only because I know what you guys are capable of. I have very, very high hopes, and I know it's going to take a lot of man hours because it's going to be a lot of fab, and I don't know what's underneath.
I don't get surprised anymore once we start tearing cars apart. There's always hidden parts and pieces all throughout.
I have no doubt, and there's also another reason why I say you personally at MG. I know you do a lot of one-offs, but this car is going to be under a microscope. Enthusiasts are going to look at this car, and this will absolutely be something that the shop can hang its hat on. So I really kind of wanted to put you guys to the test.
Not only is this built for the John Cena, but the MG community, the MG world is going to take notice of this. You know, the stakes definitely couldn't be higher, but I'm ready for it. My team's ready for it. You're going to get in this car, put your butt in the seat, and go through the gears.
Parking something that should be driven. When it's parked, I will look at it as a piece of art, but I also want to be able to get in, drive, have fun, put some miles on the odometer for sure.
Man, that's what I like to hear.
The car is an automatic. I would love it to be a 3-pedal car because there's nothing like driving with a manual, especially like an old British car.
Right.
And also, if you can pull off the GT3 sort of wide body design, I would love to do something funky with the doors. Either like McLaren style or Gullwing style or even Aston Martin style where they kind of go out.
Hold up, you just want to get in that car easier.
Maybe. Maybe I do. And maybe like a hydraulic jack to set me down inside it. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm really excited about this. Of course, I always say that, but you know, I haven't worked on an MG before, and I can't wait to get the creative juices flowing.
This is not by accident. I really admire your work, and man, the look on people's faces when they see the projects that are done. I'm really hoping that I can share that look with you in person when the car is all done.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you very much, man. I'm excited. We're going to make you something really, really cool.
I cannot wait. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you guys do the car.
John Cena.
That was John Cena.
You know, when it comes to customizing anything, you know, trucks are my deal. You know, American cars are my deal. You know, when it comes to an MG, we never had one in the shop. I've never put my hands on one, and making the extensive style fit an MG is going to be challenging, but I'm definitely up for that challenge. You know, there's a whole community that just lives and breathes these cars. So there's going to be all eyes on this car when we're done. I mean, that's a whole nother level of exposure, and people are just going to be going through it with the fine-tooth comb just to see what we did and what we modified. Once I pull this thing in the shop, you know, the guys are once again going to think I'm crazy, you know, bringing an MG into the shop. And, you know, once they know this is John Cena's car and what all we're doing to it, they're going to be just as excited as I am.
probably the first time I've ever lifted the hood on it. Why is it in the shop?
Because when you get a call from the John Cena saying he wants extensive to build him an MG, it shows up at the shop.
That's nuts.
Isn't that pretty cool?
That's real cool. I just think he'd fit in this thing.
Right? He wants to drive this car. Like, take it on the track, drive the hell out of it.
I would have never pictured one of these for like a road course car, but how small it is, you put enough power, it might be a lot of fun on a track.
That was going to be fun. The 69 MGC was known for its straight six, but we're going to give it a lot more power. You know, I don't know what kind of power we're going to put under the hood yet. We're going to rip all that out and just start fresh. New engine, new trans, nice suspension under it, coilovers, front and rear, big brakes in the fender well, good sized tire, new paint, of course, new everything. You know, as far as the interior, just totally reimagine what's in there. You know, some nice seats and just reconfiguring gauges, just make it look really, really cool. Just something that he can get in and go, damn, this is badass, and want to drive this everywhere he goes.
Man, that's a privilege. He could choose anybody to do it, and he chose the shop on Sunny Drive.
Right. See, this is why we get him to come to work every day, right?
You never know who or what's going to walk through that door.
So we got to order a lot of parts. You know, as pumped up as we are to get John Cena's car on the lift, you know, it's pretty much a game of bays around here. We got to get the 46 Ford out of the bay to make some room for it. I love seeing the rolling chassis come together. You know, it's all the work that nobody really gets to see, but in this stage.
So the car may look like a 46 Ford, but underneath, under the hood, it's a brand new car. So what we did is we put a Coyote in this thing, but with that comes a lot of technology, computers, wires, sensors. So now we have to put a whole new harness in this car, hide wires. It's a lot of work, but you'll be able to take this car anywhere you want to go.
I asked for a helper today. All this guy wants to do is take naps on me. So we're running this aluminum line from the air manifold all the way to the airbag. We use aluminum because it'll virtually last forever and it looks a lot better than your typical plastic or copper. We got a lot of bending to do and a lot of clearances to make sure we make. We do not want this interfering with anything else on this chassis, and we want it to flow with the frame rail as well. Whenever you make a mark, there's a certain spot you need on that line. Don't come with no instruction manual, so it's all about figuring it out. And if you don't do it right, your lines ain't gonna look right. When your lines don't look right, it makes this beautiful chassis look like crap.
A build like this takes way more than a typical 9-to-5 day to finish. It's months of early mornings and lots of late nights. You know, that's especially true as we get to the end.
Ryan and his dad need their car back, and we want to see his chassis complete. So we're going to bolt the wheels on, we're going to roll it over there.
Or you want to get it right here, with one fork.
You know, this is a huge milestone for us. This started out as some rectangle tubing and some pipe. Now it's a full chassis fixed underneath the car.
Yeah, go for it.
Firewall good? Right now it is. Man, it's cool when it always comes together. Get a little bit of bling on it, make everything come out, man. I think he's gonna be real happy. What do you think?
Hats off to the paint and body guys, man. I know they put a lot of work into this thing.
Everybody's worked all night, couple nights, trying to get this thing ready. So we got a long day tomorrow, so let's go home and get some sleep.
Yeah, recharge the batteries.
My guys at the shop killed it once, twice, 100 more times. It's unbelievable. Headlights, chrome bumper. John had a lot of work to do in this interior, and obviously he came with it.
So one of the last things I have left to wrap is going to be the center console. So you're going to have to sew a seam into it so I can wrap it as one piece.
Real men sew.
Yes, they do.
You know, it's been a long road. Ryan's a great, great guy, taking care of his dad like this, just giving him something special. Brian has no idea what's about to happen. He's going to be really, really happy in about 5 minutes.
Hi, Cleve.
From the time I was 5, 6 years old, my mother, she wanted to be the neighborhood mom. Everybody came to our house, and she treated all my friends as mom.
What about sweets?
All right.
So when I started here, she quickly became Mama D, the shop mom.
Hi, would you like a donut?
I would, thank you. If we're working late, she would come by and just like bring us drinks or bring us something to eat or whatever, and just being a mom.
Hi, sweetheart.
So everybody around here, when she walks in, they're like, Mama D, Mom, Mom, Mom.
Thank you very much. You're quite welcome. Love you. Have a great weekend. Hi, guys. Hi. We want some donuts? Having Tim working here at Extensive, I feel like I have numerous kids now.
Not our heroes, we're Cape.
They're just awesome people. You're welcome. It's great.
You know, today is Surprise Day. So we're at RPM's new location, and they happen to be celebrating 40 years in business today. So I brought the crew out to get Brian back old Blue Thunder. Man, I love the new property, man. You got way more space here, right? Oh, yeah. You know, I got a little surprise for Brian. We stashed Blue Thunder in the back of his lot, so I'm going to ask him to kind of show me around, and we just might happen to stumble across his car. So I thought I had a lot of projects. They go on and on and on and on.
Holy, looky there.
Here's your 46.
That can't be mine.
Hey. Hey, 40 years in business. Your son here stole your car from you, basically. Told you a fib that it was at another body shop, and we've been working on it.
I knew I should have come down.
Congratulations, you deserve it.
I didn't even think to park it out there. I would have never in my imagination ever thought that was mine.
What do you think,
Woo,
Brian?
Beautiful. Damn.
It doesn't look like the same car, does it?
Not at all.
You got a hell of a son.
Yeah, I do. And he's got some great friends.
You know, when Brian came around the corner and seen his car, you know, he got a little choked up. He was just overwhelmed, which I would be myself. Getting a gift like that, that's truly extraordinary. I mean, this is a good day for Brian, and something just never expected. Brian, you know what we started with. I mean, it was pretty much a whole, you know, it was a ton of work to go from where it was to where it is now, obviously. So what we did, we got your car in, totally took it apart, blasted it, and uncovered a lot of work. But as you can see, we've handmade everything. I mean, every bit of the frame itself is all handmade. Of course, we had to do air suspension on it to get it all the way on the ground like this with big billet wheels. You see the bodywork on this. I mean, the fenders all been molded together, the grills molded to the fenders, handmade running boards, welded the fenders to the body, and it's all just streamlined, super smooth. And of course we had to top that off because the car was Blue Thunder, right? So Thunder, right?
I agree. When I saw the color, I thought it was really great. Of course, when I was trying to pick out colors for it, it was going to be a lot darker, but man, that is perfect.
Let's check out under the hood.
Okay. Come on. Holy Toledo! Look at that!
Look at there!
Oh man!
Late model 5.0 Coyote.
Wow!
6-speed transmission. You know, you don't need any more power than this.
No, I don't.
Right? Woo. All new firewall, all the way to the floor, all the way to the rear roll pan.
It's totally awesome. When you lifted up that hood and I saw that motor, I was just dumbfounded. It was amazing. Because I had this motor at home I've been trying to put together to go in that car. Nothing compared to what I got in that car. Unbelievable.
We got a few other things to show you. Check this out.
Oh, man. Look at this. That is really cool.
What do you think, Brian's a little different from sheet metal in it, right?
Unbelievable.
It's a little bit more comfortable ride than what you know, before, right?
Yeah.
You know, John in the interior shop just, they definitely showed their skills on this, right? Everything is, you know, hand sculpted and molded to the car. You know, the 4 bucket seats in it, you know, the console, new dash, new column, new everything.
A whole lot more than I ever anticipated. Never even thought about it being like this at all.
Ryan said, build it to have something cool. So
it's cool. No doubt about that.
Hey, Brian, we got one more surprise for you. Just to top all this off, I think you're really going to be impressed a little more.
A little more. Let's go.
Whoa, look at there.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
You know, it looks like you'd want to pull your suitcase out here, right? You know, John made you a matching suitcase to tie in all the interior, right? But it's a sub box, so the speaker is actually in that box that looks like luggage. So that's pretty cool, huh?
Crazy, yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, I've never seen a speaker box look like that.
Where'd that idea even come from?
Right.
You see the luggage in the old 40s era and stuff and the older stuff, but to pull that out your mind and do that,
yeah,
it's crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. What everybody did for me and what my son had done the car and what Bill did to it is just amazing, and I just can't believe that really happened. I thank you, son, and I love you.
Love you.
Good job, man.
No, you good job.
Thanks.
You know, I always say, I can't do this myself. You know, this is one more example of just my team getting down, doing what they do, building cool stuff like they do. They proved it this time. Brian, giving him something really, really cool. That just goes to show you that Brian's a good dude, doing good things in the community and for his family. We're going to probably tack a piece of tubing here and there. Okay. Jamie and I are mocking up the first metal work, which would be an all-terrain, all-metal, all-tube custom buggy. The overall feel of the whole project is going to start taking shape once we get these clamped in. You can kind of step back and kind of see how everything looks, you know.
All right, where's my helmet?
Was it comfy?
Helmet room? Hell no.
Hey, this ain't made to be comfortable. This project is such a reminder of how extensive was started. Starting with nothing and building piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece, and here we are. I never would have dreamed I'd be where I'm at right now. Never. It was never a dream come true because I never dreamed that. I just feel totally blessed to be in the position I am, to keep building the business. You know, we got celebrities driving down Sunny Drive to see what's going on at Extensive. It's basically a 4-seater monster truck. Monster buggy.
Monster.
Just really make you start thinking where everything started to where it's at right now. We're just getting started.